The drone made no sound. That was the first thing Marcus Washington noticed as he pulled his battered Ford F-150 into the downtown parking structure. 10 p.m. on a Wednesday, delivering Old Man Henderson's repaired Buick to the high-rise district. The job paid $75, enough for Maya's school supplies and maybe pizza on Friday. But the silence above him triggered something deep in his brain, something trained into his nervous system over 10 years in places that didn't exist on maps. Combat instincts don't fade. They hibernate. The parking structure was nearly empty. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting sickly yellow pools across oil-stained concrete. Marcus shut off his truck and stepped out, keys jingling in the sudden quiet. The September air held that peculiar Denver chill that comes after sunset, sharp enough to remind you winter was waiting. Then he heard it again. Not heard exactly. Felt. A high-frequency whine at the edge of human perception. Like tinnitus, but external. Moving. Marcus looked up. 20 feet above the top level of the parking structure, a small drone hovered against the darkening sky. Matte black. No navigation lights. No registration numbers. Commercial drones have lights. FAA regulations. This one was invisible by design, and it was descending toward a silver Tesla Model X parked 3 rows away. A woman emerged from the elevator bank. White, early 30s, blonde hair pulled back in a style that cost more than most people's car payments. Armani suit in charcoal gray. Louboutin heels that clicked across concrete with the confidence of someone who owned the building, or at least the company that leased 3 floors. She walked toward the Tesla, phone pressed to her ear, completely unaware of the drone tracking her movements. Marcus felt his pulse slow, time dilated. He cataloged details with the dispassionate precision of a bomb technician approaching an IED drone model, modified DJI Matrice. Payload mounting bracket underneath. Red LED blinking beneath the chassis. Frequency increasing. 3 blinks per second. Now 4, now 5. His brain supplied the math without conscious thought. Lithium battery plus C4 equals fragmentation radius of 30 feet. Shrapnel velocity approximately 2,000 feet per second. Human body will not survive within 20 feet of detonation. The woman reached her Tesla, clicked the key fob. Door handles extended with expensive pneumatic smoothness. The LED was blinking 8 times per second now. Marcus ran. His boots hit concrete with heavy thuds that echoed through the structure. The woman looked up, confused, as this stranger in oil-stained work clothes sprinted toward her with an expression somewhere between terror and fury. "Get down," Marcus shouted. She froze. Human nature. When someone yells, you process. You think. You hesitate. No time. Marcus hit her with a tackle that would have made his high school football coach proud. Not brutal, controlled. He wrapped his arms around her shoulders and used his momentum to carry them both behind the Tesla's bulk, putting 2 tons of aluminum and reinforced battery housing between them and the drone. They hit the ground hard. The woman gasped. Marcus covered her with his body, one hand pressing her head down, the other arm shielding his own face. The world turned white. The explosion was smaller than military-grade ordnance, but devastating in the confined space. The pressure wave rolled across the parking structure like a physical thing. Car windows shattered in sequence. The blast echo bounced between concrete pillars, layering sound upon sound until it became a single sustained roar. Shrapnel pinged off the Tesla's roof. Fragments of drone chassis rained down, smoking and sparking. One piece embedded itself in the hood of Marcus's truck, a twisted sculpture of carbon fiber and circuit board. Then silence. Except for car alarms. Always the car alarms. Marcus lifted his head, checked himself first. No holes, no blood. Good. Then the woman beneath him. "Are you hurt?" She stared up at him with eyes the color of winter sky. Shock had locked her muscles rigid. Her mouth moved, but no sound came out. "Ma'am, are you injured?" She blinked, drew breath. What just happened?" Marcus pushed himself up onto his hands and knees, then stood, offering her a hand she didn't take. She rose on her own, wobbling slightly on heels that had lost a few $1,000s of dignity. Marcus moved toward the blast site. Training overrode caution. Assess, document, understand. The drone's remains lay scattered across 3 parking spaces. The main chassis was crumpled, but intact enough to read. He crouched, studying the wreckage without touching it. "Someone just tried to kill you," he said quietly. "That's insane." But her voice carried no conviction. Marcus picked up a circuit board fragment with 2 fingers, turning it in the harsh fluorescent light. Modified Chinese electronics, military-grade explosive, remote detonation system using commercial cellular bands. Professional work, very professional. He recognized the detonator frequency. Had seen it before, in classified briefings about weapons systems being developed by contractors for asymmetric warfare. This wasn't terrorism, this was industrial. "Who are you?" the woman asked. Marcus looked at her properly for the first time, saw past the expensive clothes to the intelligence in her eyes, the way she held herself despite the shock. This woman ran things, made decisions, commanded rooms, and someone had just tried to erase her from the world. "I'm nobody," Marcus said. "Just wrong place, right time." "You knew before it exploded. You knew what it was." Sirens now. Multiple units. Someone had called 911. Good. Marcus needed to leave before police arrived, before questions got complicated, before his past became present. "You need to call your security," Marcus said. "Whoever did this won't stop. This was a test run. Next time they'll use more payload or different tactics. Get somewhere safe. Tell your people to sweep for tracking devices and trust no one." "Who are you, she asked again. But Marcus was already walking toward his truck. Glass crunched under his boots. The woman called after him, but he didn't turn around. Couldn't. She represented everything he'd walked away from. Violence, secrets, the machinery of war dressed up in corporate boardrooms and defense contracts. He had a daughter to pick up from her grandmother's house. Had a life to live in daylight, where the worst thing that happened was a blown head gasket or a difficult customer. Marcus climbed into his truck. The engine turned over with its familiar rattle. As he drove down the spiral ramp towards street level, he checked his rearview mirror. The woman stood in the center of the parking structure, silhouetted by flashing emergency lights, watching him disappear. She looked small, vulnerable, alone. Marcus gripped the steering wheel tighter and kept driving. The smell of honest work filled Washington Auto Repair. Motor oil, metal heated by friction, the sweet chemical tang of brake fluid. And today, because Maya had insisted, the faint aroma of lavender from the small plant she'd placed on the windowsill. "Plants clean the air, Daddy," she'd explain, with the absolute certainty of a 7-year-old who'd learned something in school. "And they make people happy." Marcus wasn't sure about the air quality, but watching Maya water her plant with fierce concentration did improve his mood considerably. The garage occupied 2 bays in Denver's industrial district, where the streets had names instead of numbers and the buildings wore their age in peeling paint and oxidized metal. Not picturesque, but real. The kind of place where people brought cars they couldn't afford to fix anywhere else, and Marcus charged them what was fair instead of what the market would bear. The sign outside needed repainting. Washington Auto Repair, honest work, fair price. Marcus had hand-painted it 3 years ago when he'd bought the property with the last of his military savings. Teresa had helped, her smaller hands better suited for the detail work on the lettering. He didn't think about Teresa often anymore. Couldn't afford to. But sometimes in the quiet moments between jobs, her memory would slip through his defenses. The way she laughed, how she sang off-key while cooking breakfast, the soft sound of her breathing beside him in the darkness before dawn. Gone. 3 years gone. "Daddy, you're thinking sad thoughts again." Marcus looked up from the Toyota Camry he'd been working under. Maya sat cross-legged on an overturned crate, colored pencils spread around her like ammunition. She'd been drawing for the past hour while he diagnosed Mrs. Chen's transmission problem. "How do you know?" Marcus asked. "Your face gets quiet, like the sad part of songs." Marcus wiped his hands on a rag that had long since given up being clean. He crossed the garage and knelt beside his daughter. Maya looked so much like Teresa that sometimes it physically hurt. Same dark eyes, same expression of absolute focus when working on something important. Right now, important meant finishing a drawing of a bluebird in flight. "You're right," Marcus said. "I was thinking about Mommy. Is that okay?" It's very okay. Remembering people we love keeps them alive in here. He tapped Maya's chest right over her heart. They never really leave us. Maya considered this with the gravity of a philosopher. Then she held up her drawing. I drew this for Mommy, so she can see it from heaven. The bird was beautiful, rendered with the confident strokes of a child who hadn't yet learned to doubt her own talent. Blues and whites and hints of purple in the feathers. It soared across the page, wings spread wide, free. She would love it, Marcus said. His voice came out rougher than intended. Can I hang it on the wall? Next to your tools? Of course, baby girl. Maya beamed. She retrieved tape from Marcus's desk and carefully affixed the drawing to the pegboard, where wrenches and hammers hung in neat rows. Every tool in its place. Everything organized. Order from chaos. Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chen. Running late, okay to pick up car at 4? He typed back a quick affirmative and returned to the Camry. The transmission issue was straightforward. Worn bearing in the fluid pump causing vibration at 2,800 RPM. If Mrs. Chen kept driving without repair, the bearing would seize within 2 weeks. Total transmission failure. $4,000 replacement. Replace the pump now? $450. Marcus called her. Mrs. Chen, I found your problem. Your transmission fluid pump bearing is failing. I can hear it clearly at specific RPM ranges. If we don't replace it, your transmission will fail completely within 2 to 3 weeks. Oh no, how much? Mrs. Chen's voice carried that particular tension of someone budgeting carefully. $450 for parts and labor. It's not optional, I'm afraid, but it will save you from a much bigger repair later. Silence on the line. Then, can you do it today? I need my car for work tomorrow. I'll have it ready by 4. Thank you, Mr. Washington. You are always honest with me. Just doing right, Mrs. Chen. He disconnected and returned to work. Maya watched him for a while, then went back to starting a new drawing. The radio played quietly. Old soul music. Marvin Gaye asking what was going on. Marcus worked with the smooth efficiency of 10,000 repetitions. These movements were muscle memory now, as automatic as breathing. The transmission came apart like a puzzle he'd solved before. Remove pan, drain fluid. Unbolt pump assembly. The bearing looked even worse up close. Another week and it would have disintegrated entirely. Metal fragments through the whole system. Total catastrophic failure. Marcus was installing the new pump when he heard the distinctive whine of an electric motor. High-pitched. Expensive. Not the sound of the neighborhood. A Tesla Model X in metallic silver glided to a stop outside his garage. For a moment, Marcus didn't move. Coincidence, maybe. Denver had plenty of Teslas. Plenty of wealthy people who drove electric cars and sometimes needed repairs. But this particular Tesla had scrapes along the passenger side. New damage. The kind you get from diving behind a vehicle to avoid an explosion. The driver's door opened. Catherine Hayes stepped out. She looked different in daylight, less imposing. The expensive suit had been replaced by dark jeans and a white blouse. Designer still, but understated. She'd pulled her hair back in a simple ponytail. No makeup that Marcus could see. She looked tired and scared. Maya noticed her first. Daddy, pretty lady with the sad car. The car limped forward another few feet and stopped. Dead. No warning. Just complete electrical failure. Catherine stood beside it, frustration evident in every line of her posture. Marcus set down his wrench and walked outside, wiping his hands. Car trouble? He asked. Catherine turned. Their eyes met. Recognition flared. You, she said. Me. From the parking structure. You saved me. Wrong place, right time. Told you that already. Catherine studied him with an intensity that made Marcus want to step back. This woman missed nothing. Processed everything. Behind those winter sky eyes, calculations were happening. My car just died, she said, in the middle of nowhere, and I ended up at your garage. That's quite a coincidence. Denver's a small city in some ways. Don't insult my intelligence. Someone wants me dead. You knew about the drone before it exploded. You're military. Probably special operations based on how you moved. And now I'm here. Marcus said nothing. Confirming details felt dangerous. Can you look at my car or not? Catherine asked. Her voice had gone cold. Professional. The voice of someone used to getting answers. I can look. Do you work with electric vehicles? Teslas need specialized diagnostics. There it was, the assumption, the subtle condescension. Marcus had heard it before, would hear it again. A black man in oil-stained coveralls couldn't possibly understand advanced automotive electronics. Never mind that he'd designed guidance systems for autonomous drones. Never mind MIT. Never mind any of it. I have the tools, Marcus said evenly, and the training. Catherine's expression flickered. Almost guilt. I didn't mean, yes, you did. It's fine. You want your car fixed or not? She opened her mouth, closed it, nodded. Marcus retrieved his diagnostic laptop and OBD interface. Maya appeared at his elbow, curious as always. Hi, Maya said to Catherine. I'm Maya. That's my daddy. He fixes everything. Everything? Catherine asked. Her voice softened slightly when addressing the child. Everything. Cars, my toys, hearts. Maya said this with complete sincerity. Catherine blinked. Hearts? When people are sad, Daddy makes them not sad. That's fixing hearts. Maya, Marcus said gently. Let me work, baby girl. Okay, Daddy. But she didn't leave. She stood beside Catherine, studying her with unabashed interest. You're very pretty, but you look scared. Maya, warning in Marcus's voice now. But Catherine crouched down to Maya's eye level. You're very observant. Yes, I'm a little scared. Why? Because someone wasn't nice to me. Maya nodded sagely. Bad people are real. Daddy says we don't let them win by being scared. We be brave and do good anyway. Catherine looked up at Marcus. Something in her expression had cracked, the Ice Queen facade melting at the edges. Your daddy sounds wise. He's the best daddy in the whole world. Marcus connected his laptop to the Tesla's diagnostic port. The screen flooded with error codes. Battery management system fault. Thermal protection triggered. Forced shutdown protocol. But the telemetry made no sense. Temperature readings were normal. No heat stress. No overcharge condition. Marcus dug deeper into the logs. Found something that made his blood run cold. Someone remotely shut down your car, he said quietly. Catherine stood. What? Your car received a shutdown command from an external source, through the cellular connection. Someone with access to your vehicle's control systems sent a kill signal. That's not possible. Tesla's security is hackable if you know what you're doing. Marcus unplugged his laptop and walked to the back of the Tesla, dropped to his knees, looked underneath. There, a small device, barely larger than a cigarette pack, attached to the CAN bus wiring with professional-grade connectors. Marcus photographed it with his phone before carefully removing it. The device was warm, active. He stood and showed it to Catherine. GPS tracker with remote access capability. Military grade. Someone's been following you, watching you, and they can shut down your car whenever they want. Leave you stranded, vulnerable. Catherine took the device from him, turned it over in her hands. Her fingers trembled slightly. First the drone, now this. Someone wants me dead but wants it to look like an accident. Or wants to control when and where you die, Marcus said. This is chess. They're positioning pieces. Maya tugged on Marcus's sleeve. Daddy, can we help her? And there it was, the question that would change everything. The simple moral clarity of a 7-year-old child cutting through all his carefully constructed walls, all his reasons for staying hidden, staying safe. Daddy, can we help her? Marcus looked at his daughter, at Catherine, at the tracker in her hands, at the life he'd built from the ashes of his old one. Maya, go inside for a minute, okay? Okay, Daddy. She skipped back into the garage, humming. Marcus waited until she was out of earshot. Who are you, really? Catherine Hayes, CEO of Hayes Defense Technologies. We manufacture autonomous weapons systems and cybersecurity solutions for the Department of Defense. She said it flatly, waiting for his reaction. Marcus felt the pieces falling into place. Hayes Defense, he knew that name, had briefed with their engineers on classified projects, had signed NDAs thick as phone books. Your father was Colonel Robert Hayes, Marcus said. Catherine's eyes widened. You know, I know a lot of things I'm not supposed to. Your father died 6 months ago. Plane crash. Private jet went down over the Rockies. NTSB ruled it pilot error. It wasn't pilot error. Catherine's voice shook. I've been investigating. Quietly. The crash pattern doesn't match. The flight recorder was corrupted. Evidence disappeared. My father was murdered. Who benefits from his death? I inherited controlling interest in the company, 51%. But the board doesn't trust me. They think I'm too young, too emotional. They're pushing for restructuring. And my fiance, she stopped, looked away. Your fiance what? Julian Drake, he's the CTO, Chief Technical Officer. We've been together for 2 years, getting married in 6 weeks. Catherine laughed bitterly. Or we were. Now I don't know what to believe. Marcus felt something cold settle in his gut. Julian Drake, he was lead engineer on Project Sentinel? Yes, how do you... I consulted on Sentinel 4 years ago, before I left the military. Drone defense systems, anti-autonomous warfare tech. Marcus pulled out his phone, searched for something he'd bookmarked years ago and never deleted. A news article from 3 years past. He showed Catherine the screen. Tesla autonomous vehicle fatal crash claims Denver woman. Below the headline, a photo of twisted metal, a Model S wrapped around a highway barrier. Catherine read. Her face went pale. Teresa Washington, that's my wife. Marcus's voice came out flat, empty. 3 years ago, the investigation concluded autonomous system failure. Software glitch, 1 in a million chance. The car accelerated instead of braking. Hit the barrier at 70 miles per hour. She died instantly. Oh God, I'm so sorry. The investigation was conducted by Hayes Defense Technologies. Independent review. Your company signed off on the findings. Marcus met her eyes. Julian Drake led the investigation team. His signature is on the final report. Silence. Just the distant hum of traffic. Maya singing softly inside the garage. Catherine looked at the tracking device in her hand. At Marcus. At the damaged Tesla. You think Julian killed your wife, and now he's trying to kill me. I think someone in your company is very good at making accidents happen. And I think that same person has access to advanced technology, inside knowledge, and no conscience. Marcus paused. How well do you know your fiancé? I thought I knew him completely. Catherine's voice broke. But now, there are things, small things. He's been pushing me to step down. Take a break after my father's death. Says the stress is too much. He wants me to let the board handle operations while I grieve. Convenient for whoever wants control. Julian wouldn't, he loves me. Maybe, or maybe he loves your company more. Marcus turned to look at his garage, at the life he'd built, the safety he'd created for Maya. I can fix your car, remove the tracker, reset your systems, but that won't stop what's coming. They'll try again. Different method, different time. You need protection, real protection, not just security guards. Are you offering? I'm saying you need someone who knows how these people think, how they operate, someone who's been in that world. Marcus met her eyes. That's not me anymore. I have a daughter, a business, a normal life. And if I die, my daughter grows up without a mother, just like yours. Catherine said it quietly, without manipulation, just fact. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. He thought of Maya asking if her mother was in heaven with the birds. Thought of Teresa's last moments. Thought of every choice he'd made to keep his daughter safe. I can't, Marcus said. I understand. Catherine straightened her shoulders. Businessman mode engaging. Fix my car. I'll pay you whatever you think is fair. And I'll forget we had this conversation. Marcus nodded, turned toward the garage, made it 3 steps before Maya appeared in the doorway. Daddy, his daughter's voice stopped him cold. Are you going to help the pretty lady? Maya, this is complicated. No, it's not. Maya walked over to Catherine and took her hand, small, dark fingers wrapping around pale ones. Someone's being mean to you. Daddy stops mean people. That's what heroes do. Catherine knelt down again. Your daddy's not a hero, sweetie. He's just trying to keep you safe. He can do both, Maya said with absolute certainty. That's what makes him a hero. Marcus felt something break inside him. Some wall he'd built between who he was and who he'd been. Between the mechanic and the warrior. Between the father and the soldier. He couldn't do both, except Maya believed he could. And maybe, just maybe, she was right. Three men emerged from the alley between buildings, predators, sensing vulnerability. They moved with the loose, shambling gait of people who had decided violence was easier than work. All three were white, wearing clothes that had seen better decades. Eyes tracking Catherine's jewelry, her watch, the expensive car. The leader had a knife, just a kitchen blade, but sharp enough. Marcus felt his body shift, muscle memory taking over, stance widening, weight on the balls of his feet, hands loose and ready. Maya sensed the change. She'd lived with him long enough to recognize combat mode. Daddy? Inside, baby girl, right now, lock the door. Maya ran, smart kid, knew when to listen. The three men spread out, flanking positions. They'd done this before. The leader grinned, showing teeth that told stories of poor choices and worse dentistry. Nice car, lady. Nice watch. How about you hand over the valuables and nobody gets hurt? Catherine froze. Prey response. Her world of boardrooms and business deals hadn't prepared her for this particular negotiation. Marcus stepped between her and the men. Walk away. Right now, last chance. The leader laughed. Listen to the mechanic playing hero. You want to die for some rich bitch you don't even know? I'm telling you one more time. Leave. The man with the tire iron moved first. Big guy, slow. He swung the iron in a wide arc meant to intimidate. Marcus stepped inside the swing, blocked with his forearm. Pain flared, but he channeled it into motion. Palm strike to the solar plexus, hard enough to stop the diaphragm. The big man folded, gasping. The leader came next, knife leading. Amateurs always telegraph with the weapon. Marcus caught his wrist, twisted. Bone broke with an audible crack. The knife clattered to pavement. Marcus swept the man's legs and put him down hard. Not gentle, not clean, just effective. The third man, younger and clearly tweaking on something, grabbed for Catherine. Bad move. Marcus crossed the distance in 2 strides, caught the tweaker's arm. Joint lock. Pressure point. The man dropped to his knees, screaming. 12 seconds. 3 men down. Marcus wasn't even breathing hard, but his forearm was bleeding. The knife had found him on the first exchange. Not deep, but enough. Red spreading through the fabric of his work shirt. Catherine stared. I know. Marcus pulled out his phone, called 911, gave them the address and situation with calm professionalism. Then he called Maya. It's over, baby. You can come out now. The garage door opened. Maya ran to him, saw the blood, and her eyes went wide. Daddy, you're hurt. Just a scratch, sweetheart. I'm okay. But Maya was crying now, big tears rolling down her cheeks. Marcus scooped her up, one-armed, holding her tight. Hey, I'm fine. I promise. I was scared. I know, but you were so brave. Went inside when I said, stayed safe, that's my girl. Sirens approached. Police arrived within minutes. Marcus knew them. Officer Rodriguez climbed out of his cruiser, shaking his head. Marcus, again? They started it. That's what you said last time, and the time before that. But Rodriguez was smiling. You can't help yourself, can you? Apparently not. The 3 attackers were cuffed and loaded into vehicles. EMTs arrived to check Marcus's arm. 12 stitches, could have been worse. An inch to the left, and it would have hit the radial artery. Catherine watched it all with the expression of someone whose worldview was being systematically demolished. When the police finished taking statements, she approached Marcus. Who are you? She asked for the 3rd time that day. Just a mechanic. No, you're not. She looked at Maya clinging to Marcus's good arm, at the garage with its hand-painted sign, at the 3 men being driven away in police cars. You're something else entirely. Marcus didn't answer. I need your help, Catherine said quietly. Not just with the car, with all of it. Someone's trying to kill me. Someone killed your wife, and I think it's the same person. I have a daughter to protect. So protect her by stopping the man who murders people like he's deleting files. Catherine's voice hardened. Because if he succeeds with me, how long before he cleans up loose ends? How long before someone remembers that Marcus Washington used to consult for defense contractors? That his wife died in a suspicious accident he might investigate? The words hit home because they were true. Marcus had stayed quiet, stayed hidden. But predators don't ignore witnesses. They circle back eventually. I'll look at your car, Marcus said. That's all I'm promising. Catherine nodded. It was enough, for now. Marcus carried Maya inside, set her on her crate, kissed her forehead. You okay, baby girl? Uh-huh. Daddy, is the pretty lady gonna be our friend? Maybe. Good. She needs friends. Her eyes are lonely. Marcus looked back through the garage door. Catherine stood beside her dead Tesla, arms wrapped around herself despite the warm afternoon. Alone, scared, trying desperately to project strength. Her eyes were lonely. Maya was right. She usually was. Marcus pulled his laptop back out and got to work. The Tesla systems rebooted clean after he removed the tracking device and cleared the malicious code. 45 minutes later, the car hummed to life. Perfect. Like nothing had happened. That's $75 for diagnostic and repair, Marcus said. Catherine stared at him. $75 for saving my life twice and fixing my $140,000 car. Price is price. I don't overcharge. She pulled out her wallet, handed him $200. Keep the change, please. Marcus started to argue but saw the look in her eyes. Pride, dignity, the need to give something back. He pocketed the money. Thank you. I should be thanking you. Catherine hesitated. My head of security is running a background check on you. I'm sorry. I need to know who I'm dealing with. You won't find much. That's what worries me. People who are invisible usually are for a reason. She climbed into her Tesla, started the engine. I'll be in touch. And Marcus, thank you for everything. She drove away. Marcus watched until the silver Tesla disappeared around the corner. Then he went back inside where Maya was holding up a new drawing. For the pretty lady, so she won't be lonely. The picture showed three figures. A man, a woman, a little girl. They were holding hands under a blue sky. Above them, a bird flew free. I'll make sure she gets it, Marcus promised. That night, after Maya was asleep, Marcus sat at his kitchen table and opened his laptop. Typed a name he'd avoided for 3 years. Teresa Washington. The articles appeared. He'd read them all before. Read them until he had them memorized. But now he looked with different eyes. Investigator's eyes. The eyes of someone who knew how advanced technology could be weaponized. Tesla Model S. Autonomous driving system engaged. Sudden acceleration. No brake response. 70 miles per hour into a concrete barrier. Teresa died instantly. Thank God for that mercy at least. Investigation by Hayes Defense Technologies. Independent review. Lead investigator, Julian Drake. Final report. Software glitch, rare but possible. No foul play suspected. Tragic accident. Marcus pulled up technical schematics he wasn't supposed to have. The autonomous driving system architecture. The fail-safes, the redundancies. Teresa's car would have had to experience simultaneous failure in 3 separate systems for the accident to happen naturally. The statistical probability was less than 1 in 10 million. But if someone injected malicious code, if someone with access to the system could override safety protocols, if someone wanted to field test a remote assassination method using consumer vehicles, then the probability became 100%. Marcus found the tracking device he'd removed from Catherine's Tesla, examined it under a magnifying lamp. The encryption chip used Chinese characters for manufacturer markings, but the programming interface was Western, professional grade. He'd seen devices like this in classified briefings. Not this exact model, but the same family. Tools for intelligence agencies and high-end mercenaries. Not something you bought at Best Buy. His phone buzzed, unknown number. Text message. Thank you for today, I mean it. Catherine. Marcus typed back. How did you get this number? You wrote it on my receipt. I'm not completely helpless. Despite everything, Marcus smiled. Car running okay? Perfectly. You are very good at what you do. Just a mechanic. Stop saying that. We both know it's not true. Marcus hesitated, then typed, "What did your security guy find?" Three dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, enough to know you're not who you pretend to be. Marcus Washington, Navy SEAL, EOD specialist, classified work with DARPA, patents in drone guidance systems. You left the military 3 years ago after your wife died. Since then, nothing. You vanished. I didn't vanish. I just stopped playing the game. But the game didn't stop. It just kept playing without you. Marcus knew she was right. What do you want from me? I don't know yet, but I think I'm going to need you. And I think maybe you need this too, to finish what someone started with Teresa. He shouldn't engage. Should block this number. Send Catherine Hayes back to her world of boardrooms and billion-dollar contracts. Protect Maya. Protect himself. Stay hidden in plain sight. But Maya's words echoed. That's what heroes do. And Catherine was right. Predators don't forget witnesses. Don't leave loose ends. Sooner or later, Julian or whoever had killed Teresa would remember Marcus Washington, would wonder what he knew, would decide to clean up that particular mess. Better to act first than react later. Marcus typed carefully, "I'll help you, but on my terms. My daughter comes first. Always. If things get dangerous, I walk. Understood?" Understood. And if I find proof your fiancé killed my wife, I'm taking that to the police. I want justice, not revenge. Longer pause this time. Then, if Julian killed your wife and my father, justice means he goes to prison for life. I want that too. Then we have a deal. Thank you, Marcus. Don't thank me yet. We don't know how deep this goes or who else is involved. You might not like what we find. I stopped liking things 6 months ago when my father died. Now I just want the truth. Marcus looked at the photo of Teresa on his mantle, remembered her laugh, her optimism, the way she believed people were fundamentally good even when evidence suggested otherwise. She would have liked Catherine Hayes, would have said the CEO just needed someone to show her warmth was possible. Good night, Catherine. Good night, Marcus, and thank you for saving my life. Both times. Marcus set down his phone, went to check on Maya one more time. She slept peacefully, clutching her stuffed bunny. So innocent, so perfect, so vulnerable. He'd walked away from war to keep her safe, and now war was walking back toward him, wearing an expensive suit and corporate smile. But this time he'd see it coming. This time he'd be ready. Marcus kissed Maya's forehead and whispered, "Sweet dreams, baby girl." Then he went back to his laptop and started digging into Julian Drake's life, looking for cracks in the facade, looking for proof, looking for justice. The mechanic was done hiding. The warrior had work to do. James Morrison arrived at Catherine's penthouse at 6 in the morning, carrying a folder that looked thin but felt heavy with implications. Former FBI, 20 years hunting criminals who wore suits instead of ski masks. Now he hunted for Catherine, and the prey he'd found disturbed him more than he wanted to admit. Catherine stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Denver's awakening skyline. She'd been there for hours, hadn't slept. Coffee had gone cold in her hand 3 times. Each time she'd microwaved it and returned to the window, watching the city below, and wondering how many people down there were exactly who they claimed to be. "You're not going to like this," James said. "I haven't liked anything in 6 months. Show me." James opened the folder. Inside, layers of Marcus Washington's life peeled away like an archaeological dig. Each layer revealed someone different, someone more. Marcus Anthony Washington, born Detroit, 1988. Mother died when he was 12. Raised by his grandfather, Samuel Washington, Korean War veteran. Marcus enlisted in the Navy at 18, not because he needed money or direction, because his grandfather told him that serving something larger than yourself was how you became a man. Catherine turned from the window. "Skip to the interesting parts." "It's all interesting, but here's where it gets classified." James pulled out a heavily redacted document. Black bars covered most of the text, but enough remained to paint a picture. Navy SEAL training, top of his class, explosive ordnance disposal specialist, which means when everyone else runs away from the whistle, Marcus runs toward it. "I noticed," Catherine said quietly, remembering the drone, the parking structure, how Marcus moved without hesitation. 3 combat deployments, Iraq, Afghanistan, and a third location that doesn't exist on any map I can access. He received the Navy Cross. Do you know how rare that is? It's 1 step below the Medal of Honor. The citation is classified, but my contact said Marcus saved 17 men by defusing a device everyone else said was impossible to stop. James paused, looked up. Then in 2014, something changed. Marcus was pulled out of combat rotation, sent to MIT on a military scholarship, graduated in 18 months with a degree that should take 4 years, mechanical and electrical engineering, thesis on autonomous drone guidance systems. Classified immediately. He designed drones? Catherine's voice sharpened. Designed, improved, and found vulnerabilities in them. DARPA put him on retainer. He consulted for half a dozen defense contractors, including Hayes Defense Technologies. Your father worked with him directly on Project Sentinel. Catherine felt the world tilt. My father knew Marcus? Knew him, trusted him. According to emails I found, Robert called Marcus the most brilliant tactical mind he'd ever encountered. Said Marcus could see 3 moves ahead of everyone else, like chess. And your father loved chess. The words landed like stones in water, ripples spreading outward. Catherine's father had trusted Marcus Washington. The colonel, who trusted almost no one, had worked with this mechanic, had valued his opinion. What happened 3 years ago? Catherine asked. James flipped pages, found a news clipping. Teresa Washington, Marcus's wife, killed in a Tesla autonomous driving accident. The car accelerated instead of braking. 70 miles per hour into a concrete barrier. She was pronounced dead at the scene. I know, Marcus told me. Did he tell you that he spent 6 months investigating? That he filed 14 complaints with NTSB? That he hired 3 independent experts who all said the crash was statistically impossible unless someone tampered with the software? Catherine shook her head. The investigation went nowhere. Hayes Defense Technologies conducted the independent review. Lead investigator Julian Drake concluded software glitch. Rare but possible. Case closed. Marcus appealed, was denied, appealed again, denied again. Finally, he stopped fighting, bought the garage, disappeared from the defense contractor world, became invisible. James closed the folder. Until you. Catherine moved to the couch, sat. Her legs suddenly felt unreliable. Julian investigated Teresa's death. Julian signed off on calling it an accident. Yes. And now Julian is trying to kill me. That's a theory, one we can't prove yet. But you believe it? James hesitated, then nodded. I believe someone in your company wants you dead. Someone with access to advanced technology and inside knowledge. Julian fits the profile, but so do 4 other board members and half a dozen senior engineers. We need proof. That's why you need Marcus. He knows how these systems work, knows how to find back doors and buried code. And he has personal motivation to dig until he finds answers. Catherine thought about Marcus in his oil-stained coveralls, the way he'd tackled her without hesitation when the drone attacked, how he'd taken apart 3 armed men like a choreographed dance, the gentleness in his voice when he spoke to Maya, the sadness in his eyes when he mentioned Teresa. He said he'd help me, Catherine said. Smart man, because whoever killed his wife is still out there, still dangerous, and loose ends have a way of getting tied up permanently. Marcus's garage closed at 6. By 6:30, the metal security door was down and locked. The hand-painted sign flipped to show closed. Inside, a different kind of work began. Maya was at her grandmother's house for the night. Marcus had called in the favor with reluctance, and Rebecca Washington had heard the tone in her son's voice that said trouble was circling back around. She'd raised him. She knew that tone. You be careful, she'd said. Maya needs her daddy. I know, Mama. And Marcus, that woman you're helping, the one whose car you fixed? What about her? Your grandfather always said the right woman comes along when you need her most, not when it's convenient, when it's necessary. Marcus had no response to that. Rebecca laughed softly and told Maya to go pack her overnight bag. Now Marcus stood in his garage and made 2 phone calls, both to numbers he'd sworn never to dial again. Both were answered on the first ring. Marcus Washington, thought you were dead. Rick Vasquez's voice carried the easy confidence of someone who'd defused bombs beside Marcus in places where one wrong breath meant death for everyone. What's it been? 3 years? About that. And you're calling because you need help or you're bored of civilian life? Both, maybe. I'll be there in 2 hours. The second call went to Sarah Chen, hacker, signals intelligence specialist, and the person who taught Marcus that the most dangerous warfare happened in code instead of combat. Rick called me 30 seconds ago, Sarah said before Marcus could speak. Said you were back in the game. I told him you were too smart for that. Please tell me I'm right. I need help, Sarah. That's not the same as being right. But he heard the smile in her voice. Give me an address. By 9 p.m., Marcus's garage had transformed into an operations center. 3 laptops, 2 external monitors, enough networking equipment to make the NSA jealous. Rick arrived first, carrying gear in a tactical backpack that weighed 40 pounds and could fit through an airport X-ray without raising alarms. Sarah showed up 20 minutes later, driving a Tesla Model 3 that she'd modified with enough processing power to run a small server farm. Nice place, Rick said, looking around. Very humble. It's home. For you and the kid, yeah. I saw the drawings on the wall. Your daughter? Maya, 7 years old. Teresa's girl. Rick's voice softened. How's she doing? Better than me some days. Sarah was already setting up, fingers flying across keyboards, establishing encrypted connections that bounced through 17 countries before coming back to Denver. So what are we doing? And please don't say something stupid like overthrowing a government. Defense contractor. Hayes Defense Technologies. Someone inside is dirty, trying to kill the CEO. Same person probably killed Teresa. The typing stopped. Sarah and Rick both looked at Marcus. Teresa, Rick repeated. Her crash wasn't an accident. I always knew it. Couldn't prove it. Now I have a chance. Who's the CEO? Sarah asked. Catherine Hayes, daughter of Colonel Robert Hayes. Rick whistled. The colonel. I met him once. Good man. Heard he died in a plane crash. Also not an accident. Hell of a conspiracy you're building here, Marcus. It's not conspiracy if it's true. Sarah pulled up Hayes Defense Technologies on her screen. Corporate website, board of directors, executive team. Who's our primary suspect? Julian Drake, CTO. He investigated Teresa's crash, called it an accident. Now he's engaged to Catherine Hayes and someone's trying to kill her with the same methods used on my wife. That's thin, Sarah said. Coincidence isn't proof. Which is why we need proof. He's dirty, I know it. But we need evidence that will hold up. Rick cracked his knuckles. So we dig. What's the primary project? Aegis, autonomous drone defense system. Supposed to protect military installations from small drone attacks. Demo in 3 weeks for Department of Defense. $800 million contract. Big money, Rick said. Big enough to kill for. Marcus pulled up schematics on his laptop. Catherine thinks someone's sabotaging Aegis. 4 test failures. Every time the drone crashes after 8 minutes. They can't find the problem. Sarah leaned in, studying the code architecture displayed on Marcus's screen. Can I access their systems? Catherine's giving me legitimate credentials tomorrow. Full access. She's CEO. Can authorize anything. Risky for her if the board finds out. She doesn't care. Someone killed her father and now they're coming for her. She wants answers more than she wants her job. I like her already, Sarah said. 24 hours later, Sarah Chen had been inside Hayes Defense Technologies systems for 18 hours straight. She'd consumed 4 energy drinks, 2 cold pizzas, and had stopped blinking at normal intervals. Rick watched her with the concern of someone who'd seen obsession before. You need sleep, he said. I need to find this bastard. Sarah's fingers never stopped moving. There, wait, back up. That's beautiful. That's horrible and beautiful. Marcus looked over her shoulder. Code scrolled across 3 screens simultaneously. To most people, it would look like Matrix gibberish. To Marcus, it was a language he'd learned to read in classified briefings in late-night debugging sessions. Show me, he said. Sarah pointed. Aegis Flight Control System, main navigation firmware. See this function? It's a diagnostics routine. Runs every cycle, checks system integrity, Reports all clear. Okay, except it's lying. This routine doesn't check integrity. It's waiting, counting. And when conditions are exactly right, it triggers a cascade failure in the gyroscope calibration system. Rick moved closer. Explain it for those of us who don't speak computer. It's a logic bomb, Marcus said quietly. Dormant code that activates under specific conditions. What conditions? Sarah pulled up parameters. Altitude above 500 feet, airspeed over 60 miles per hour, flight time exceeding 8 minutes. When all three conditions are met simultaneously, the bomb triggers. Gyroscope data gets corrupted gradually. The drone thinks it's level when it's actually tilting. Tries to correct, overcorrects, cascade failure, crash. Can you trace who wrote it? Marcus asked. It's encrypted, professional work. But Sarah's fingers danced. Every programmer has a signature, habits, preferences, the way they structure loops or handle errors. It's like handwriting. This person uses specific commenting syntax, particular variable naming conventions. She pulled up comparison code from Hayes Defense's repository. Thousands of files, millions of lines of code. The search algorithm ran for 6 minutes. Then it found matches. 73 files in the Aegis project with the same coding signature, all checked in by, Sarah paused, Julian Drake. Gotcha, Rick said, but Marcus shook his head. It's not enough. Julian could say someone else used his credentials, or that the code was approved by committee. We need more. Need to prove intent. Need to connect him to money or outside actors. Sarah cracked her neck. Give me another 12 hours. You need sleep. I need to finish this. She met Marcus's eyes. Teresa was good people. Came to our unit barbecue that one time. Brought homemade cookies. Talked to everyone. Made us all feel like we mattered. Someone killed her and made it look like an accident. So no, I don't need sleep. I need justice. One. Marcus squeezed her shoulder. Thank you. Don't thank me. Help me look. Catherine called Marcus the next morning. I need you to come to Hayes Defense, now. There's a board meeting. William Cartwright is making his move. Who's William Cartwright? CFO. He was my father's best friend for 20 years. I thought I could trust him. But now, her voice caught. Please, I need someone on my side. Marcus arrived at Hayes Defense Technologies 40 minutes later. The building was steel and glass and ambition made architectural. 40 stories of defense contracts and classified projects and money that flowed from government coffers into private accounts. Security tried to stop him at the lobby. Catherine had to come down personally. Mr. Washington is my personal consultant, she said coldly. He has full building access. Is that clear? The guard nodded, printed a visitor badge that Marcus clipped to his shirt. The oil stains hadn't come out completely. He'd tried. But working with engines left marks that soap couldn't remove. They rode the elevator to the executive floor in silence. Catherine wore armor today, a gray suit that probably cost more than Marcus's truck. Hair pulled back severely, makeup perfect. But her hands shook slightly when she pushed the button for floor 40. You okay? Marcus asked. No, but I'm functional. That's close enough. The elevator opened onto polished marble and subtle lighting and the kind of corporate elegance that cost a fortune to look effortless. Catherine led Marcus down a hallway lined with photos. Successful projects, military hardware, drones and defense systems that kept soldiers safe. And there, in a photo from 3 years ago, Marcus saw his own face, younger, still in uniform, standing beside Colonel Robert Hayes and a team of engineers, Project Sentinel. Marcus remembered that day. Remembered the colonel's firm handshake, his direct gaze, the way he listened more than he spoke. My father liked you, Catherine said, noticing Marcus's attention. Said you had integrity, that you asked the right questions even when they were inconvenient. He was a good man. Yes, and someone murdered him. The boardroom held 8 men and 2 women, all dressed in expensive suits and expressions of barely concealed hostility. They stopped talking when Catherine entered. Stopped breathing when they saw Marcus. William Cartwright sat at the head of the table. Late 50s, silver hair, suit that cost $5,000. He looked at Marcus the way people look at insects that have wandered into their homes. "Catherine," William said. His voice was smooth, cultured. "You brought a guest. Marcus Washington, security consultant. He has my full confidence." "Washington." William studied Marcus. "Why does that name sound familiar?" "I've worked with Hayes Defense before. Years ago." "Hmm. And now you're, what, a mechanic?" William let the word hang in the air. Let everyone hear the condescension. "Catherine, surely we have actual security professionals on payroll. People with current clearances. Not," he gestured vaguely at Marcus's clothes, "whatever this is." "Mr. Washington has more field experience than everyone in this room combined," Catherine said. "Field experience fixing transmissions, perhaps." William smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "Catherine, I say this with love. You're under tremendous stress. Your father's death, the pressure of the CEO role. It's affecting your judgment. Bringing people like this into sensitive meetings, it's not appropriate." People like this. The words carried weight, implications. Marcus had heard variations of this his entire life. People looking at his skin before his credentials, seeing a black man in work clothes and making assumptions. "Mr. Cartwright," Marcus said quietly, "I have clearance higher than anyone in this room. I've worked on projects you've never heard of and couldn't access if you tried. And I'm here because Catherine asked me. If that's a problem, I can leave." "No," Catherine said, "you stay." William's expression hardened. "Catherine, as CFO, I have fiduciary responsibility to this company. I cannot allow unauthorized personnel in sensitive meetings." "He's authorized. By me, CEO, controlling shareholder." Catherine sat down at the table. Marcus remained standing behind her. Guardian position. "Now, you called this meeting. What's so urgent?" William opened a folder, distributed copies around the table. "Hayes Defense Technologies is facing a crisis. Project Aegis has failed 4 consecutive tests. The DoD demo is in 3 weeks. If we fail again, we lose the contract. The company cannot survive that loss." "We won't fail," Catherine said. "We've identified the problem." "Have you? Because my engineers tell me you've been sharing system access with outside parties." William looked at Marcus. "With consultants who have no current clearance, who have no business accessing proprietary technology." Catherine didn't flinch. "Any consultant I hire has access I authorize. That's my right as CEO. It's also grounds for board intervention if we believe you're acting against company interests." The room went silent. Marcus felt the trap closing. This wasn't about Aegis. This was about control. "You're moving for a vote of no confidence," Catherine said. "I'm moving to protect this company." "You're not well, Catherine. Grief has clouded your judgment. We need interim leadership until you've recovered." "I'm perfectly capable." "Then explain why you brought a mechanic to a classified meeting." William stood, addressed the board. "Catherine has made questionable decisions, shared sensitive access, brought unauthorized personnel into our facilities. She's a liability. I move that we suspend her authority pending psychiatric evaluation and appoint interim leadership." "You son of a bitch," Catherine breathed. "Language, dear. This is business, not personal." Marcus stepped forward. "Mr. Cartwright, may I ask a question?" "This doesn't concern you." "Humor me. You said Hayes Defense can't survive losing the Aegis contract. How much is the company worth if that happens?" "I don't see how." "Approximately 60% of current valuation, which would make it an attractive acquisition target. Am I right?" William's eyes narrowed. "That's speculative, but accurate. And if Hayes Defense was acquired at a discount, the acquiring company would get all technology, patents, and personnel. Valuable assets, worth killing for, perhaps." "What are you implying?" Marcus pulled out his phone, showed a screenshot Sarah had sent him an hour ago. Bank records, offshore accounts, money moving through shell corporations. "I'm implying that someone has been preparing to profit from Hayes Defense's failure. Someone with inside knowledge. Someone who benefits if Catherine is removed and the company collapses." William's face flushed. "That's absurd. Security, remove this man." But Marcus held up another image. This one showed Colonel Hayes's plane wreckage and specific damage patterns. I'm also implying that Colonel Hayes didn't die in an accident. His plane was sabotaged. C4 explosive in the fuel system. Detonated mid-flight. I've seen this pattern before in combat. It's unmistakable. The room erupted. Board members talking over each other. William hammering the table for order. Catherine staring at Marcus with an expression between gratitude and shock. "This is outrageous," William shouted. "You have no proof, no authority. Catherine, control your consultant." "I think we're done here," Catherine said. She stood. "Board members, you have my report on Aegis. Read it. The technical problems are solved. We will succeed at the demo. Meeting adjourned." She walked out. Marcus followed. Behind them, chaos continued. In the hallway, Catherine leaned against the wall, breathed. "Thank you. They'll come at you harder now." "I know, but at least now they know I'm not alone." "Catherine, those bank records. We can't prove William is connected yet. We showed our hand too early." "I don't care. Did you see his face? He's involved, I know it." Marcus nodded. "Yeah, I saw. But knowing and proving are different things. We need more." Catherine's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, went pale. "What?" "Julian, he wants to meet for dinner. Says we need to talk about wedding plans." She looked up at Marcus. "I don't think I can sit across from him and pretend everything's normal." "Then don't. Tell him you're sick. Buy us time." "How much time?" "Sarah's tracing the money. Rick's analyzing the colonel's plane crash data. Give us 48 hours. We'll have proof." Catherine nodded, typed a response. Then she looked at Marcus with those winter sky eyes that had started to thaw. "Why are you doing this? Really? You could walk away, keep Maya safe." "Because my daughter asked if we could help you, and I can't teach her to be brave while I'm being a coward." "You're not a coward. I ran from this world because it hurt too much. Let Teresa's killers get away. That was cowardice. This?" He gestured at the building, the mess they were in. "This is me trying to do better." Catherine reached out, touched his arm, just briefly. "Your wife was lucky to have someone who loved her that much. I was the lucky one." They stood in the hallway while corporate life flowed around them. Two people from completely different worlds, bound together by violence and loss and the slim hope that justice might still exist somewhere beneath the lies. "Marcus, when this is over, if we survive, would you maybe want to have dinner? Nothing fancy, just dinner with Maya, if that's okay." Marcus felt something warm unfold in his chest, something he'd thought died with Teresa. "I'd like that." "Good." Catherine smiled, actually smiled, the ice cracking completely. "Because your daughter drew me a picture, and I'd like to thank her properly." That night, Sarah Chen made a connection that changed everything. Marcus was home, having picked up Maya from his mother's house. His daughter chattered about her day while Marcus made dinner. Spaghetti, Maya's favorite. Simple, familiar, normal. His phone rang at 8:30. "Sarah, I found the pattern," she said without preamble. Marcus put Maya in front of a movie, went to his laptop in the kitchen. "What pattern?" "Colonel Hayes' plane crash. I pulled the wreckage analysis. Got FAA reports, NTSB findings. And Marcus, you were right. The fuel system damage isn't consistent with impact trauma. There's scorching that indicates pre-crash explosion. C4? Or something similar, small charge. Placed precisely. Whoever did this knew aircraft systems, knew where to put the explosive for maximum effect with minimum evidence. Who had access to the plane? It was privately maintained. Hayes Defense has a hangar at Centennial Airport. Service records show regular maintenance by company mechanics. But here's the interesting part. 3 days before the crash, there was an unscheduled inspection, signed off by, guess who? Julian Drake. Julian Drake, CTO of a defense technology company, personally inspecting his boss's airplane. That's not normal. CTOs don't do mechanical work. Marcus felt pieces clicking into place. What did he inspect? Fuel system, supposedly checking for a sensor error. Took him 40 minutes, alone on with the plane. Long enough to plant an explosive? Marbon, then long enough. Marcus pulled up satellite imagery of Centennial Airport, studied the hangar layout, security camera positions. Sarah, can you access airport security footage from that day? Already did. Cameras were malfunctioning. Convenient, right? But I pulled cell tower data. Julian's phone pinged at the hangar for 60 minutes. Not 40. He lied in the maintenance log about how long he was there. He needed extra time. Planting explosives is delicate work. There's more. Remember Teresa's crash? I pulled cell tower data from that day too. Guess whose phone was within a mile of the crash site 30 minutes before it happened? Marcus's blood ran cold. Julian. Julian. He was there, Marcus. He watched your wife die. Probably remotely triggered the autonomous system failure. Then drove away. The kitchen suddenly felt too small, too hot. Marcus stood, paced, rage and grief warring in his chest. We have him, Sarah said. The pattern proves intent. 2 accidents. Both involve vehicle control systems. Both have Julian present. Both benefit whoever wants Hayes' defense to fail. It's still circumstantial. A good lawyer could argue coincidence. Then we get proof that can't be argued. Marcus, I traced the offshore accounts deeper. The money flowing to Julian comes from a Chinese tech consortium, specifically one that specializes in acquiring Western defense technology. They've bought 3 American contractors in the past 5 years. Always the same pattern: internal sabotage, stock collapse, acquisition at pennies on the dollar. They're buying Hayes' defense. They're trying to, and Julian is their inside man. He gets paid $50 million plus an executive position in the new company. All he has to do is destroy Aegis, remove Catherine, and tank the stock price. Marcus thought about Catherine, about Maya drawing pictures for a lonely woman, about Teresa's last moments, about Colonel Hayes dying in flames because he was in the way of money and power. We need to trap him, Marcus said. Make him expose himself, publicly, with witnesses. The Aegis demo, 3 weeks, military brass, media, investors. If Julian triggers the failure there, we can trace it, prove it was him, catch him in the act. That's risky. What if we can't stop it? Then Aegis crashes, Hayes' defense loses everything, and Julian wins. But Marcus, I can write code to catch him. A honeypot. When he sends the kill signal, we capture it, trace it, display it for everyone to see, turn his weapon against him. Marcus thought about Teresa, about justice, about his daughter sleeping peacefully in the next room. Do it, he said. Write the trap, make it perfect, because we only get one shot at this. I'll need access to the Aegis core systems. Catherine can get you in. She's CEO. She can authorize anything, even if it means risking her company. She doesn't care about the company. She cares about the truth, about stopping the man who killed her father. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then, I like her. Yeah, me too. After disconnecting, Marcus sat at his kitchen table and looked at the photo of Teresa. 3 years. 3 years of grief and guilt, and wondering if he could have done something. Prevented it somehow. Saved her. Now he knew the truth. Teresa hadn't died because of bad luck or faulty technology. She died because Julian Drake needed to test his weapon. Needed to prove he could kill with code before moving to bigger targets. She died because Marcus worked in defense technology, because Julian couldn't risk Marcus identifying the sabotage pattern. So he eliminated the threat by eliminating Marcus's wife, making it look like an accident, making Marcus suffer, making him walk away from the world where he might have seen the truth. But Marcus hadn't walked far enough, and now Julian would pay. Marcus stood, checked on Maya. She'd fallen asleep on the couch, clutching her stuffed bunny. He carried her to bed, tucked her in, kissed her forehead. Daddy loves you, baby girl. Always will, no matter what. Maya stirred, mumbled, Love you too, Daddy. Marcus turned off the light and returned to his laptop. He had work to do, plans to make, a trap to spring. The mechanic had learned to hide, but the SEAL had never forgotten how to hunt, and Julian Drake had just become prey. 3 days later, Catherine arrived at Marcus's garage unannounced. She parked the Tesla carefully and stepped out wearing jeans and a simple sweater. No armor today, no CEO facade, just a woman who looked tired and scared and determined. Maya saw her first. Miss Catherine. Marcus emerged from beneath a Honda Accord, saw Catherine, felt something warm and complicated twist in his chest. "You came," he said. "You said you had news." "Inside, Maya, can you go draw for a bit? Miss Catherine and I need to talk." "Okay, Daddy." But Maya hugged Catherine first, just wrapped her small arms around Catherine's waist and squeezed. "I'm glad you're here." Catherine looked down at the little girl. Something melted in her expression. "Me too, sweetie." When Maya had retreated to her corner with crayons, Marcus showed Catherine what Sarah had found. The cell tower data, the pattern, the money, all of it. Catherine listened without interrupting. Her face went through stages: shock, anger, grief, and finally, cold determination. "He killed my father," she said quietly. "Watched me grieve. Held me while I cried. Proposed marriage. All while planning to destroy everything my family built. Yes, in Teresa. He murdered her to protect himself, to eliminate someone who might recognize his work." "Yes," Catherine stood, paced. "We can't go to police. The evidence is circumstantial. And if Julian knows we're onto him, he'll run, disappear. We'll never get justice. That's why we trap him at the demo, make him show his hand, record everything, with witnesses. It's dangerous. If something goes wrong, I know, but it's the only way." Catherine turned to look at Maya, who was drawing intently. "What happens to her if this goes bad? If Julian wins?" "My mother takes her, raises her somewhere far from here. I have money set aside. Instructions. Maya will be okay." "That's not good enough." Catherine's voice hardened. "She needs her father. You can't martyr yourself for this." "I'm not planning to die. Neither was my father. Neither was Teresa. Plans don't matter when you're up against someone with no conscience." Marcus moved closer. "Catherine, I can't let him walk away. Can't let Teresa's death mean nothing. Can't teach Maya that bad people win if we're too scared to fight back. I understand, but promise me something." "What?" "If it comes down to you or Julian, you choose you. You survive. You go home to Maya because she needs you more than the world needs Julian Drake punished." Marcus looked at this woman who'd entered his life in a cloud of expensive perfume and corporate ice, who'd transformed over these past weeks into someone real, someone warm, someone who thought about his daughter before herself. "I promise," he said. "I'll come home." "Good." Catherine stepped closer, close enough that Marcus could smell her shampoo, something floral, expensive but understated. "Because Maya's not the only one who needs you." The air between them changed, charged. Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in 3 years, something dangerous and wonderful and terrifying. "Catherine, don't overthink it. Just know that when this is over, I'd like to see where this goes. If you're interested." "I'm interested." "Good." She smiled, actually smiled, the ice completely gone. "Now show me this trap you're building. I want to understand every detail, because I'm going to be on that stage when Aegis flies. I'm going to look Julian in the eye, and I'm going to watch him fall." Marcus spent the next hour explaining the technical details, how Sarah's code would work, how they'd trace Julian's signal in real time, how the trap would spring. Catherine listened like the engineer's daughter she was, asked smart questions, suggested improvements. She might run a company, but she understood technology at a fundamental level. "My father taught me," she said when Marcus commented, "said CEOs who don't understand their own products get eaten alive. So he made me learn, made me build things, made me think like an engineer before he let me think like a businesswoman. He taught you well. He taught me survival, but you're teaching me something else." "What's that?" "How to fight back." They worked until evening, until Maya announced she was hungry and Miss Catherine should stay for dinner. And somehow Catherine did stay. Sat at Marcus's small kitchen table and ate spaghetti and garlic bread while Maya told stories about school. And Marcus watched this powerful woman laugh at his daughter's jokes. Watched her relax into something approaching happiness. Watched the walls she'd built come down one brick at a time. After dinner, Maya fell asleep on the couch. Catherine helped Marcus carry her to bed. Stood in the doorway while Marcus tucked his daughter in. She's beautiful, Catherine whispered. Teresa must have been amazing. She was, but she'd like you. Teresa believed people could change, could grow, could become better versions of themselves. Am I better? You're different, more real, less afraid. They returned to the living room. Catherine should leave. It was late, but neither of them moved toward the door. Thank you, Catherine said, for everything, for believing me, for helping, for caring. You make it easy. I don't. I'm difficult and cold and I push people away. You were those things. Now you're someone who draws pictures with 7-year-olds and eats spaghetti at mechanics' kitchen tables. Catherine laughed, soft, genuine. God, 3 weeks ago I would have found this beneath me. Now it's the only thing that feels real. That's growth. That's you. She touched his arm, let her hand linger. When this is over, Marcus Washington, I'm taking you and Maya to the best restaurant in Denver. We're celebrating, living, being happy. Is that okay? More than okay. Catherine left shortly after. Marcus watched her drive away and felt something shift in his chest, something that felt dangerous, like hope. He checked on Maya one more time. His daughter slept peacefully, dreaming whatever 7-year-olds dream about. Birds and colors and endless possibilities. Marcus returned to his laptop, opened encrypted channels to Sarah and Rick. They had 2.5 weeks to build a perfect trap. Time to get to work. The demonstration was coming. Julian Drake was coming, and Marcus Washington would be ready. Justice was coming. Finally, after 3 long years. Justice for Teresa, for the Colonel, for everyone hurt by men who valued money over human life. The warrior was awake, the trap was set, and the reckoning would be complete. 3 weeks became 3 days, became 3 hours, became now. Marcus Washington had lived through firefights in Fallujah and bomb defusal operations where one wrong breath meant death for 17 men. He'd held Teresa's hand in the hospital when Maya was born and felt terror more profound than any battlefield. He'd buried his wife and thought nothing could hurt worse. He was wrong. Standing in the pre-dawn darkness outside the military demonstration facility, Marcus understood that everything he'd survived had led to this moment. Not the battles, not the loss. This, right here. The choice between justice and safety, between action and hiding, between the man he'd been and the man he'd become. His phone showed 4:30 a.m. The demonstration started at 9. In 4.5 hours, Julian Drake would either be exposed as a murderer or walk free to kill again. In 4.5 hours, Marcus would either protect Catherine and honor Teresa's memory or fail everyone who mattered. Maya was safe at his mother's house. That was the only certainty in a morning full of variables. Sarah Chen looked up from her laptop in the equipment van. She'd been coding for 16 straight hours. Her eyes were bloodshot, but her hands remained steady. Final systems check complete. The trap is perfect. When Julian sends his kill signal, we catch everything: transmission signature, phone MAC address, GPS coordinates, encryption keys, everything. Rick Vasquez finished assembling the backup recording equipment. Former explosive ordnance disposal like Marcus, Rick understood that redundancy meant survival. 3 independent recording systems, all encrypted, on uploading to secure cloud storage in real time. Even if Julian somehow destroys the physical evidence, we have copies. Catherine arrived at 5 a.m. in a black SUV driven by James Morrison. She wore a navy suit that cost more than most people's monthly rent, but her hands shook as she stepped out. The CEO armor was cracking. I couldn't sleep, she said. Kept thinking about everything that could go wrong. Marcus understood. He'd spent the night staring at Maya's sleeping form, memorizing her face, wondering if he'd see her again. Combat veterans knew the truth civilians didn't. Sometimes the good guys lost. Sometimes evil won. Sometimes you did everything right and still died. It's going to work, Marcus said with more confidence than he felt. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise we've done everything possible. The rest is execution. Catherine moved closer, close enough that Marcus could smell her perfume. Something subtle, expensive. Nothing like Teresa's drugstore fragrance, but it suited Catherine perfectly. If this goes bad, if Julian wins, promise me you'll take care of Maya, get her somewhere safe. Raise her to be strong. That's not going to happen. Promise me anyway. Marcus looked into her winter sky eyes and saw Teresa's optimism reflected back. Saw the belief that people could be better, could choose courage over fear, could build something beautiful from ashes and pain. I promise, but you're going to be around to help raise her yourself. Because after today, we're having that dinner. The three of us. Like a family. Like a family, Catherine repeated. The words sounded foreign in her mouth. Hopeful, fragile. I'd like that. Sarah cleared her throat. Hate to interrupt the moment, but we have incoming. Multiple vehicles, military, VIPs arriving early. The demonstration facility transformed as the sun rose. What had been empty desert became a hive of activity. Pentagon officials in dress uniforms, defense industry executives in expensive suits, media crews setting up cameras, investors calculating return on investment. 200 people gathering to watch Aegis fly or fail. And somewhere in that crowd, Julian Drake's co-conspirators waited, Chinese intelligence assets with fake credentials and real agendas. Corporate spies ready to profit from Hayes Defense Technologies' collapse. Vultures circling a company they'd spent months trying to kill. Marcus moved through the crowd like a ghost, black tactical gear, visitor credentials that identified him as Catherine Hayes' personal security consultant. People looked at him and saw exactly what Julian wanted them to see. A mechanic playing soldier. A black man out of his depth in a world of white-collar crime and billion-dollar contracts. Let them underestimate. Marcus had built a career on being underestimated. He found Julian at 7:30 near the main observation building. The CTO looked perfect. Tailored suit, confident smile. The expression of a man who believed he'd already won. Julian was talking to a Chinese businessman Marcus recognized from Sarah's intelligence reports, Chen Wei. Tech industry titan, silent partner in the consortium trying to acquire Hayes Defense. Marcus approached. Julian saw him. Something flickered behind the confident mask. Fear, maybe, or calculation. Marcus, surprised to see you here. This is quite sophisticated for a mechanic. I learned fast. Besides, Catherine wanted someone she could trust. Funny how that works. Trust. Indeed. Julian's smile didn't waver, but his eyes went cold. And do you trust her? Catherine can be impulsive, emotional, not always thinking clearly. She thinks clearly enough to know when someone's lying to her. Meaning? Meaning I've seen your code, Julian. The logic bomb in Aegis. The kill signal you're going to tend when the drone hits 8 minutes. The same signature you used on Teresa's Tesla and Colonel Hayes' plane. Very distinctive work. Almost like a signature. Julian went very still. That's an interesting theory. Do you have proof? We will in about 90 minutes. When you trigger your trap and we spring ours. You're bluffing. Maybe. Only one way to find out. Marcus leaned closer, dropped his voice. How does it feel, Julian? Knowing that in 90 minutes you will be in handcuffs? That 200 people will watch you get arrested for murder? That Catherine will finally see what you really are? Julian's composure cracked. Just for a second. But Marcus saw it. The fury, the fear, the desperate calculation of a cornered predator. You have no idea what you've done, Julian whispered. The people I work for don't forgive loose ends. You, Catherine, that little girl of yours, all loose ends. The threat hung in the air like poison gas. Marcus felt rage ignite in his chest, the warrior instinct that said eliminate the threat. End it now, but he was surrounded by witnesses. Cameras, Pentagon officials. This wasn't a battlefield. This was a chess game, and the final moves had to be played perfectly. Touch my daughter and there's nowhere on earth you can hide, Marcus said quietly. I've hunted men in places that don't exist. Killed them in ways that leave no evidence. You're a programmer playing speedball. I'm a warrior who got tired of killing. Don't make me remember how. Marcus walked away before he did something that would ruin everything they'd built. At 8:15, Marcus's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text message. A photo appeared. Maya, sitting in Marcus's mother's kitchen, drawing her birds, completely unaware she was being photographed through the window. The message read, adorable daughter. Would be tragic if something happened to her. Aegis crashes today, or she disappears. Your choice. You have 1 hour. Marcus felt the world tilt. Combat focus activated. Every instinct screamed to run. Get to Maya. Protect her. Forget Julian. Forget justice. Forget everything except his daughter's safety. He called his mother. 3 rings. 4. 5. Answer. Please answer. Marcus, what's wrong? You sound... Where's Maya? Right now. Where is she? She's right. Oh no, Marcus, she was just here. She said she was getting crayons from her room. That was 5 minutes ago. Marcus, I can't find her. The window in her room is open. There's a note. Read it to me. Rebecca Washington's voice shook. It says the drone crashes or the girl dies. Simple trade. Marcus, someone took our baby. Someone took Maya. The phone nearly shattered in Marcus's grip. 20 years of combat discipline barely contained the rage and terror warring in his chest. Maya, his baby girl, his reason for breathing, in the hands of Julian's hired killers. Mama, call 911. Lock the doors. I'm handling this. Marcus, what's happening? Who took her? The man who killed Teresa, but he's not going to win. Not today, I promise you. I'm bringing Maya home. Marcus disconnected, showed the photo to Catherine, Sarah, and Rick. Catherine went white. Sarah started typing furiously. Rick checked his weapon. They want us to abort, Sarah said. Let Aegis fail. Save Hayes Defense's reputation or save Maya. How fast can you find her? Marcus asked. The photo has metadata, GPS coordinates. Let me... Sarah's fingers danced across keyboards. Got it. The photo was taken from a vehicle parked across the street from your mother's house. White van. I'm pulling traffic camera footage now. There, license plate, registered to a shell company. Same shell company that paid Julian's offshore accounts. Where did they go? Tracking. Got them. Heading west toward the industrial district. Wait, they stopped. Haven't moved in 6 minutes. Location is Old Hayes Defense Storage Facility, 20 miles from here. Marcus was already moving. Catherine grabbed his arm. I'm coming with you. No, you stay here. Conduct the demonstration exactly as planned. When Julian triggers the trap, you nail him. Make it count. Marcus, she's a child. Forget the demonstration. Forget Julian. We get Maya back, that's all that matters. Julian's counting on that. Counting on me choosing Maya over justice. That's why he took her. But he made a mistake. He thinks I have to choose. Marcus looked at Rick. You're with me. Sarah, you stay here and spring the trap. Catherine, you be on that stage looking confident. Make Julian think he's winning. And if something goes wrong, Catherine asked, if we can't save both? We save both. There's no other option. Marcus kissed her forehead, quick, fierce. Trust me, I've done impossible things before. This is just one more. Rick drove while Marcus planned. 20 miles at illegal speeds took 11 minutes. The Old Hayes Defense Facility looked abandoned. 3 buildings, rusted metal, broken windows. But fresh tire tracks in the gravel parking lot told a different story. 2 hostiles minimum, Marcus said, studying the facility through binoculars. Probably more. Professional, armed, using Maya as leverage. Approach? Rick asked. Fast, violent, overwhelming. They're expecting negotiation. We give them war. They split up. Rick took the east entrance. Marcus took the west. No radios, hand signals only. Moving the way they'd moved in Fallujah and Kandahar. Predators stalking prey. Marcus entered through a broken window. Glass crunched under his boots despite his care. Inside smelled of rust and abandonment. But voices echoed from the center building. Male, confident, not expecting trouble. Marcus moved toward the sound, found a catwalk overlooking a large storage area. Below, Maya sat in a chair, hands zip-tied, but not crying. His brave girl. 2 men stood guard, white, military bearing, professional contractors. The kind who killed for money and slept fine after. No sign of others, just the 2 guards and Maya. Marcus's phone vibrated. Text from Sarah. Demonstration starting. Julian on stage with Catherine. Aegis launching in 5 minutes. You need to hurry. No time for perfect. Time for good enough. Marcus dropped from the catwalk. Landed behind the first guard. Sleeper hold. 8 seconds to unconsciousness. The second guard turned, reached for his weapon. Too slow. Marcus hit him with a palm strike to the throat. Crushed the trachea. The man dropped, choking. "Daddy!" Marcus cut Maya's restraints, scooped her up, held her like she might disappear. "I've got you, baby girl. You're safe. I've got you." "I wasn't scared," Maya said into his shoulder. "I knew you'd come. Heroes always come." Rick appeared from the east entrance. Clear. No other hostiles. This was the whole team. Marcus checked his phone. "We have 20 minutes. The trap springs at 8 minutes of flight time. We need to be there when it happens." They ran. Catherine Hayes stood on the platform addressing 200 people and felt absolutely alone. Marcus was gone. Maya was rescued, but not here. Sarah sat in the equipment van monitoring systems. Rick and Marcus were racing back from the rescue, and Julian Drake stood 10 feet away, confident and smiling, believing he'd already won. "Ladies and gentlemen," Catherine said, her voice carrying across the demonstration area, "thank you for joining us today. What you're about to witness represents the future of autonomous defense systems. Aegis combines artificial intelligence, advanced sensors, and adaptive learning to protect military installations from drone attacks. Today, we prove it works." Polite applause. Pentagon officials looked interested. Defense executives looked skeptical. Media crews checked camera angles. And somewhere in that crowd, Chen Wei and his Chinese intelligence assets waited for the failure they'd paid Julian millions to guarantee. The Aegis drone sat on its launch platform, sleek, matte black, bristling with sensors and weapon systems. $800 million of research and development. The future of Hayes Defense Technologies. Or its death sentence. "Aegis, launch," Catherine commanded. Electric motors hummed. The drone lifted smoothly into the crystal blue sky. No wobble, no hesitation. Perfect. The crowd watched screens showing the drone's perspective, flying over the demonstration area, identifying simulated threats, making tactical decisions. All autonomous, all flawless. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3. Julian checked his phone. Catherine saw it from the corner of her eye. He was waiting, counting down. At 8 minutes, the logic bomb would trigger. The drone would crash. Hayes Defense would lose the contract. The stock would collapse. Chen Wei's consortium would acquire the company for pennies on the dollar. And Julian would walk away $50 million richer. 4 minutes. 5 minutes. 6. Catherine's phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. "Maya safe. 60 seconds out. Spring the trap." Relief nearly buckled Catherine's knees. Maya was safe. Marcus was coming. Everything was in place. 7 minutes. Julian's hand moved to his phone again. Catherine saw his finger hover over the screen, saw the calculation in his eyes, the confidence of a man who'd planned every detail. 7 minutes, 30 seconds. Catherine gave Sarah the signal, a small nod, invisible to everyone except someone watching for it. 8 minutes. Julian tapped his phone, sent the kill command, the signal that should crash Aegis and destroy everything Catherine's father had built. But Sarah's trap was waiting. The main presentation screen flickered, changed. Now showed something the crowd didn't expect. A network diagram, signal routing maps, encryption analysis, and a red line snaking from the Aegis drone down through cell towers to the demonstration area. To Julian Drake's phone, the trace completed in real time. On screen, Julian's phone MAC address appeared, his GPS coordinates, the encrypted kill signal he'd just transmitted. Every detail of his sabotage displayed for 200 witnesses to see. Catherine's voice rang out across the sudden silence. "Ladies and gentlemen, you've just witnessed attempted sabotage. The signal you see on screen is a kill command, designed to crash Aegis through malicious code planted in the navigation system 3 months ago. The transmission originated from inside this facility. From this phone," she pointed at Julian. The crowd erupted. Pentagon officials stood. Defense executives shouted questions. Media crews swung cameras toward Julian. Chen Wei stood and moved toward the exits. Security blocked him. Julian stared at the screen showing his crime. His face went through stages. Shock, disbelief, rage, fear. The confident mask shattered completely. This is absurd, Julian said. His voice shook. Catherine's fabricating evidence. She's unstable. Everyone knows she's been erratic since her father died. This is a setup. Sarah's voice came through the PA system. Mr. Drake, we have a your code signature in the Aegis firmware. The logic bomb you wrote. We have your offshore bank accounts. $50 million from Chenway's consortium. We have cell tower records placing you at Colonel Hayes's plane the day you planted C4 in the fuel system. We have everything. You have nothing. Circumstantial. Inadmissible. Your lawyers will have trouble explaining this. A new image appeared on screen. Video footage. Julian entering Hayes Defense's hangar at Centennial Airport. The timestamp showed 3 days before Colonel Hayes's fatal flight. Julian approached the private jet, looked around, opened an access panel near the fuel system, planted something small, closed the panel, left. The entire sequence captured in high-definition security footage Sarah had found buried in archive systems. The crowd went silent, every eye on Julian, Pentagon officials reaching for phones, defense executives backing away from the CTO like he carried plague. Chenway in handcuffs now. Federal agents materializing from the crowd. Marcus arrived then, running from the parking area, Maya in his arms. He stopped at the edge of the crowd, set Maya down but kept her hand firmly in his. Together they watched justice unfold. Julian saw them, saw Marcus standing there alive when he should be panicked about his daughter, saw Maya safe when she should be leverage, saw the trap complete when he'd believed himself untouchable. You, Julian breathed, you planned this, all of it. No, Marcus said quietly. You planned this. I just made sure everyone could see what you'd done. Julian's composure completely shattered. He ran, burst through the crowd like a panicked animal, headed for the parking area. But federal agents were already moving. Pentagon security closing in. Nowhere to go, no escape route Julian hadn't already burned. He made it 50 feet before Marcus stepped into his path. Just stood there, calm, patient, inevitable. Move, Julian snarled. No. Julian threw a wild punch. Marcus caught his wrist. Applied pressure, specific, controlled. A joint lock perfected over 20 years. Julian dropped to his knees, screaming. Teresa Washington, Marcus said quietly. You killed her testing your sabotage methods. Murdered a woman who never hurt anyone. A mother, a wife. You stole her from me. From Maya. For what? Money? Pride? Testing code? I didn't have a choice. She would have figured it out. She was too smart. She had to. She had to die because you were afraid. Marcus increased pressure slightly. Colonel Hayes, he trusted you, mentored you, and you killed him too. He was in the way. The consortium needed Hayes' defense to fail. I did what was necessary. Necessary. Marcus released Julian's wrist. Step back. Federal agents are here. They'll read you your rights, take you into custody, process you through the legal system, give you trials and appeals and every protection the law offers. All the things you denied Teresa and the colonel, all the dignity you stole from them. FBI agents surrounded Julian. Handcuffs came out. Miranda rights read in flat professional tones. Julian struggled, shouted about lawyers and false imprisonment and corporate conspiracies. But the evidence was overwhelming. The witnesses undeniable. The proof absolute. Catherine walked over to Marcus and Maya. She looked at Julian being led away in handcuffs, looked at the Pentagon officials conferring, looked at the media crews broadcasting live footage of the CTO's arrest. We did it, she said. Actually did it. We did. Marcus pulled her into a hug, one armed, the other arm around Maya. Your father would be proud. So would Teresa. Maya looked up at both of them. Miss Catherine, are you going to be sad anymore? No, sweetie, I don't think I am. Good, because I drew you another picture. Want to see? The courtroom felt too small for the weight of what it held. Marcus and Catherine sat in the front row. Maya between them. The 7-year-old wore her best dress, the one with birds embroidered on the collar. She swung her feet, not quite reaching the floor, humming softly. Judge Patricia Morrison looked over her glasses at the assembled crowd. Lawyers, social workers, family members, witnesses to a moment that would bind 3 lives forever. This court has reviewed the petition for adoption. Catherine Elizabeth Hayes seeking to adopt Maya Teresa Washington. The biological father, Marcus Washington, consents. Maya, now 8 years old, has expressed her wishes clearly. I see no impediment to this adoption. The gavel fell. The sound echoed. Final, complete, irrevocable. Maya Teresa Washington became Maya Teresa Hayes Washington. 2 last names, 2 families, 1 child loved by everyone. Catherine bent down, kissed Maya's forehead. Hi, daughter. Hi, Mom. Maya tested the word, smiled. It sounds nice. It sounds perfect. Marcus watched his daughter gain a mother and felt Teresa's presence so strongly he looked around expecting to see her. But she wasn't there, not physically. She existed in Maya's laugh, in Catherine's gentle nods, in the family they'd built from loss and love and choosing each other. They left the courthouse together, a family now, legal and real and complete. Outside, reporters waited. The Hayes defense sabotage case had been front-page news for months. Julian Drake's trial started in 3 weeks. Chen Wei and 17 other co-conspirators already pleaded guilty. The Chinese tech consortium dissolved under federal pressure. Hayes Defense Technologies stock hit record highs. But Marcus and Catherine had stopped giving interviews. Let the lawyers handle media. Let the company PR team manage messaging. They had more important priorities, like Maya's soccer games, like family dinners, like building a life. Washington and Hayes Automotive Solutions occupied twice the space of Marcus's original garage. 4 mechanics now, 1 office manager. Catherine spent 3 days a week there, reviewing contracts, managing finances, but also changing oil and learning to diagnose transmission problems and discovering that working with her hands felt more real than any boardroom ever had. Marcus still took apart engines with the precision of a surgeon, still charged fair prices, still treated customers with respect. But now he also consulted for DARPA 3 days a month, designing countermeasures for autonomous weapon systems, using his expertise to prevent the next Julian Drake. The money was obscene, more than Marcus ever imagined earning. They donated most of it, started the Teresa Washington and Robert Hayes Foundation, scholarships for engineering students, support for military families, programs for children who'd lost parents. Maya helped pick the scholarship recipients. 8 years old, and she'd read application essays with fierce concentration. This one, Daddy, she wants to build things that help people. Like you. Like us, Marcus corrected. Their house sat in a quiet Denver neighborhood, not mansion territory, but comfortable. A backyard where Maya could play, a garage workshop where Marcus tinkered, an office where Catherine worked remotely, a kitchen where they cooked together, burned things sometimes, laughed at their mistakes, tried again. Maya's room had walls covered in her art, birds mostly, always birds, flying, free, reaching for blue skies and limitless possibility. Teresa's photo hung in the living room, not hidden, not forgotten, honored. Catherine had insisted, she's part of this family, part of Maya's story. She deserves to be here. Marcus loved her more for that. They married on a Saturday in September. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. Sarah and Rick served as witnesses. Rebecca Washington cried happy tears. Maya served as flower girl and took her duties with absolute seriousness. Judge Morrison officiated. She smiled when Marcus and Catherine exchanged vows they'd written themselves. I promise to honor your past while building our future, Catherine said. To love Maya as fiercely as you do. To be brave when you're scared and strong when you're weak. To stand beside you. Always. I promise to trust you with my daughter and my heart, Marcus said. To see you, the real you beneath the armor. To build a life that makes Teresa proud and your father smile. To love you completely. The kiss was soft, sweet, full of promise. Maya cheered. Yay, now we're really family. The reception happened at the garage. Barbecue and beer and terrible karaoke. Rick sang country music off-key. Sarah demonstrated surprisingly good dance moves. Rebecca held court telling embarrassing stories about young Marcus. Catherine laughed until her sides hurt. At sunset, Marcus found Catherine on the garage's back porch. She stood watching Maya chase fireflies with other children. The little girl's laugh carried on the evening air. Pure, joyful, alive. Thank you, Catherine said. For what? For this, all of it. For seeing past the Ice Queen to who I could be, for trusting me with Maya, for building something real. Marcus pulled her close. You did the hard part. You changed. You chose to be vulnerable. That takes more courage than anything I did. We changed each other. Yeah, we did. They stood together watching their daughter play, watching their friends celebrate, watching the life they'd built from tragedy and justice and love. Do you think Teresa approves? Catherine asked quietly. I know she does. Teresa believed in second chances, in healing, in finding joy after loss. This is everything she wanted for Maya. For me, she's happy. Good, because I want to make her proud. Be the mother Maya deserves. You already are. Maya ran up then, face flushed, eyes bright. Mom, Dad, come play. Uncle Rick is doing the limbo and he's terrible. They followed their daughter back to the party, to the laughter and music and celebration, to the family they'd chosen, the life they'd earned. Marcus looked back once, at the garage with its hand-painted sign, at the place where a CEO's car had broken down and changed everything, where a little girl had asked if they could help and started a chain reaction that led here, to healing, to justice, to love. The birds Maya drew were everywhere now, on the garage walls, in the house, on the foundation's logo. Birds in flight, wings spread, soaring toward freedom, just like them, just like the family they'd become, flying free, together, always reaching for something better, and finding it, right here, in the ordinary magic of coming home. The end.